Movies like this just make me look forward to that eventual film where Frankenstein forgets to pay his mortgage and falls in love with his landlord through happenstance a whole lot more. God, I need to be in Hollywood. Jenny, get me the script writing pen! Hello and welcome to my review of Warm Bodies starring Nicholas Hoult, Teresa Palmer, and John Malkovich. Warm Bodies takes place in the aftermath of an apocalyptic scenario where most of the people on Earth are dead and walking around as undead. That completely contradicts itself, but whatever. The humans have gone off and built a little wall for themselves to protect themselves, kind of typical zombie movie stuff. And we follow this character named R, played by Nicholas Hoult, who's a zombie who meets this human, played by Teresa Palmer, and essentially the gist of it is the two of them fall in love despite him being a highly underdeveloped individual, to say the least. This is a movie that I hope to God would be good. Not only does it just have a really kind of cool premise, this whole zombie romantic comedy thing, a zom-com, if you will, and I know I'm not the first one to make that joke, but pretend I was. But also, it's directed by Jonathan Levine, who has previously done the excellent 50-50 and a movie called The Whackness, which I hear is good, but haven't seen. So, I was expecting this movie to at least be good, if not surprisingly great. And guess what, guys? It's adequate. Above average. Yeah. So here's the deal. The filmmakers behind Warm Bodies believe that they have written an ingenious and hilarious script with this admittedly funny premise. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually go in a good direction until about halfway through the film. There's no way to phrase it other than the first half of this movie is just plain bad. The situation is that you just have Nicholas Hoult's character wandering around for a while talking about the mundane day-to-day things that zombies do, and it's just kind of lame-brained and the same jokes we've heard 1,000 times, and the ones that are original, that are kind of funny, are all in the trailer, so you got your laugh right there. And then once it gets into the love story with Teresa Palmer, it's really nothing that inventive. It's basically watching that scene from Frankenstein where he's with the little girl by the river, where he's just kind of going, and the girl's like, ooh. It's like watching that for 30 or 40 minutes. It's really nothing that interesting. The two leads don't give particularly strong performances here. Nicholas Hoult doesn't give even a remotely convincing performance as a zombie, and man, is that a tough thing to achieve. He doesn't seem as much like a Walking Dead person as he does a walking Abercrombie and Finch model who just got lobotomized. Like, it's just odd. He never comes off as scary or dead or anything, really. He just kind of comes off as a guy who's just kind of dumb, like he's got Forrest Gump syndrome or something. And the other actors really don't stand out as the zombies either. This movie's kind of unconvincing as a whole when it comes to that entire zombie aspect. The only person even remotely raking in some laughs being Rob Corddry, just based on his charisma. Teresa Palmer is also entirely bland. Her character doesn't really have any moments where she shows any signs of humanity. She's just kind of the girl who just kind of sits there and falls in love with the guy just because he's a guy and she can hang out with him. Like, their love story in this movie just really doesn't make any sense. And yes, I know it's a comedy and you have to suspend some disbelief, but still, it's not cute so much as it is just kind of odd. The only other actor really worth mentioning here is John Malkovich. He plays Teresa Palmer's character's dad. He kind of runs the whole human civilization, and he's alright. He just kind of gets off on being hammy John Malkovich these days, and that's always fun to watch. Fortunately, this movie does kind of wake up in the second half and become something that's a little better. The humor kind of steps it up a little bit. The characters become a little bit more likable. There's a couple scenes where the movie's kind of fun. There's a couple fun action scenes, and the ending is kind of engrossing. But, I mean, it doesn't save the fact that I was really not enjoying this movie for a good half of it. I will give this film this, though. In terms of the look and the way it was shot, Jonathan Levine does a really wonderful job directing this movie. This movie just has a great kind of washed out watercolor paint look to it almost. Just kind of these gothic zombie comics that you read. This movie really just pops those to life to where the movie almost doesn't even take on like a realistic live action look so much as it just kind of looks like it's moving images on a comic book page. And it's really cool how Jonathan Levine captured that. And he shoots some of the action really well. There's some great shots of the city and some landscapes. So like visually this movie is very appealing. Overall, while this movie is visually appealing and does have some moments where the writing does really shine through with some funny, laugh out loud moments, this movie is far more bad than it is good and is the first real major disappointment of the year. The actors are unconvincing, the love story is just odd and is never romantic or funny or cute or anything like that. And the tweaks they make to zombie lore in here with the whole love changes them thing is just flat out dumb. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. And really, when you get down to it, this movie's just a bad hipster film that somehow got a little bit more talent behind it than normal, and it just doesn't work. So I give Warm Bodies 1.5 stars out of 4. And that was my review of Warm Bodies. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. And also, I've decided to reopen requested reviews. So if you want to see a review for any movie, send me the title and I will put it on the list. But until next time, I'm Michael Fairbanks.